Just wait one more minute, see if we get anybody else on. Melody, where are you joining us from?
Coming in from Dallas.
Oh, exciting. What organization are you with?
I'm a museum store consultant, so coming in
Ooh.
from me, uh, just working with everybody. I just recently joined, so glad to join.
Awesome. Well, welcome. That's I'm sure a lot of museum stores are struggling right now trying to figure out all of their inventory
Mhm.
issues. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Zinnia Willits, the Executive Director of the Southeastern Museums Conference, and we just wanted to provide this opportunity to get together to tell everybody about a few things happening with SEMC right now and some changes related to our membership rates and talk a little bit about the upcoming conference. So I'll be sharing my screen and I've got just a few slides to organize my thoughts. But before I move on with that, why don't we have our other SEMC staff members introduce themselves?
I'll go first. My name is Carla Phillips. I'm the membership and communications manager for SEMC. So I handle most of the membership situations, all the membership renewals and everything. And I also do the social media.
Thanks, Carla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Nowak. I'm the program administrator for the Southeastern Museums Conference, and I mainly assist with all the programmatic offerings ranging from virtual programs to our in-person programs like the Jekyll Island Management Institute and the SEMC Leadership Institute, as well as leading the program committee who selects the sessions and workshops to be included in the annual meeting program. I'm happy to see you all today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. So as everyone knows, we are a small but mighty team for SEMC trying to accomplish great things on behalf of all of our members and all the good work that's happening across the region. And it's our privilege and honor to be able to do this. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Where did the slideshow go? Just to sort of tell you what we're going to cover today, SEMC does have a new strategic plan. We just launched it publicly about 2 weeks ago, but we've actually been working on it for the last few years. So I just wanted to provide a few updates about where to find it, what that looks like, what our process was, how we even got to that point. Just point out a few of the highlights of the plan and then talk about some of the work that's actively being done. Because it's one thing to write a strategic plan, it's quite another to actually activate it and begin moving forward. So we're pretty excited. You've probably all heard by now through some channel that we have some increases to our membership rates coming as of July 1st. So it's not July 1st yet, it's only May 15th. So there's definitely time to lock in your current rate pricing, either whether you're an institutional member or an individual member. But we just wanted to provide an opportunity to talk about why we're increasing the rates, what they are, when that's going to happen, and just if you have questions about it, we'd be happy to answer them for you. And then we'll just round out talking about the 2025 annual meeting, which will be this fall in Montgomery, Alabama. It's October 20th to 22nd, and registration is open. Early bird registration rates are in effect through August, but I know we put out a lot on social media, but we do have a website. It's kind of the doorway into SEMC, and people use it and they don't, and I think sometimes they forget about it. So all of this information that I'm going to talk about today is available on the website. And so to be able to point you to it, I'm just going to go ahead and share directly from the website. First, I need to find it. Sorry, everyone, screen share is not my superpower. All right, where did it go? So, there we go. All right, so if you have never been, I hope everyone has been to the SEMC website by now, but it is www.semcdirect.net. We have admittedly not updated the format or layout of the website in many years, and it's something that we hope to work towards, but all the information is still there. It's not the slickest of association websites, but we do our best to keep it updated and full of all kinds of things for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is our strategic plan. Right here on the home page, you can go and click on the link to get to this plan. All of our publications at this point are digital publications, and we publish them on this platform called Issue. And this is going to pull right up to the strategic plan, and it's pretty easy to click through it, page through it, and it's easiest to read it when you have it in full screen mode. So I'll just do that for the moment. So SEMC usually works in 3-year strategic plans. The last one ended actually in 2023, and it was created pre-pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and it changed a lot of how we operate, at least in that moment. And so we had a strategic plan in place. We were still able to follow it. And again, a strategic plan is our guidelines for forward movement, what direction we really want to see this organization go and how we're going to grow. And it includes lots of voices and input. But the plan during the pandemic, we were still able to work on our goals. We just had to change how we were going to achieve them. That plan ended in 2023. And so our council, which is our board, if you're not familiar, SEMC calls its board of directors the council. There are 17 members, there are 4 officers, and then there are directors that round out the rest of the council. They are nominated every year as people roll out. Council members serve 3-year terms. So this is the leadership group, the board of directors of the Southeastern Museums Conference, and they are heavily involved in the strategic plan, as well as general oversight of how we operate SEMC, how we manage our finances, and how we move into the future on behalf of the membership and all the museums we serve. So we started working on this plan back, honestly, in 2023. We worked with a third party, maybe organizations that have much more capacity than SEMC may be able to do their strategic planning in-house, but we thought it was efficient use of our time and funds to work with a third party to help us guide our thoughts and working sessions on the strategic planning. So we worked with the Compass Group, and specifically with Robert Bull, who is now the president and the owner, actually, of the Compass Group. They are a fundraising and strategic planning firm based out of Baltimore. But one of the reasons we chose to work with Compass Group is that Rob Bull has been one of our instructors for the Leadership Institute, the Southeastern Museums Conference Leadership Institute, which is another one of our programs. He has been an instructor for the last 5 years within that program. So my point there is, like, he knows us. He knows our association. He knows our staff. He knows many of the board members, and he knows me. And as executive director, working, being the liaison between all of these moving parts, that was really important. So Rob and the Compass Group have also worked with a lot of other nonprofits. They do a lot of work with the Association of African American Museums, and I think lots of museums across the Southeast right now. So this was a good fit for us. One of the first things that we did, how do I page through this? Let's see. Where did all right. One of the first things that we did with Rob was we had a working session with our council. The council meets on Zoom every other month to do just kind of the check-in, and we are in person twice a year at our mid-year meeting, and then at the annual meeting, there's always a council meeting prior to the start of the meeting. So there are times that we are all in person. And the first thing we did in preparation for strategic planning was to have Rob come in and do a session with our group about communication. Because as a group of board members that are representing different types and sizes of museums, different stages of career, and are coming from all over the Southeast, I think one of the aspects about strategic planning that's really important is learning how to communicate with each other before you start working as a group. To think through as a cohesive unit, as a we. I always tell my graduate students, a board service is about the we. It is thinking as a community on behalf of the community. So we had to get to the we before we could start thinking through the future. And SEMC we've had officer transitions over the last few years. We have newer board members, and so this is where we started. And from that point, we continued to do additional working group sessions, both online and then when we were together. And one of the big things that we talked about, I think it was when we were in Louisville, we had a strategic planning session prior to that conference, was really looking at our mission. Does that need to change? What about SEMC is important? Where has the mission been in the past? Where do we think we're going? And the council generally all agreed that our mission is still solid. So you'll see in our strategic plan, the Southeastern Museum Conference is a membership organization, fosters networking, professional development, educational opportunities, communication, and diversity for museums. That was the big change in the strategic plan and mission, was we added in the word diversity, because the vision and the real focus on inclusion across Southeast museums, it wasn't reflected in what we had in our previous mission. So not only did we have council members, but in these working sessions, we also had external stakeholders. We had previous council members. We had some of the heads of former SEMC committees and people who have been involved with the organization. So there was sort of a longer lens on what we were doing, as well as our newer board members, kind of representing the future. So from there, you can page through the strategic plan. There's our objectives. There's lovely, as I said, we bridged two different officer transitions. So Matt Davis was the SEMC president when we started strategic planning, and Kalinda Lee is now the president as we finished the process and launched the plan. So that was interesting too, going through two sets of officers and new council members in the process, but still coming together to work on this plan. The goals really came through the entire process. And again, Rob Bull and his team at the Compass Group, they had individual sessions with me. Sometimes we would have great lofty discussions in strategic planning. And then it was like, well, what's actually realistic? And one thing about this plan is it is very based in reality. It actually all fits on one page. For this publication, we expanded it out to give it a little bit more detail for the membership. But the overall premise of it is a one-page strategic plan. It's not overly complicated, and it very much is in line with SEMC's capacity as an organization in this moment. What I really wanted to talk about, and I won't stay on this too much longer because it's out there for everybody to read and appreciate, are the three strategies, because I think those are important as we're moving forward. Strategy one is to increase and diversify SEMC's operating revenue. Strategy 2 is to redefine the business model. And that's not, it doesn't mean we're changing everything about SEMC, but we are in kind of a transitional phase in terms of how we operate. We're in between hybrid and having a home office space. There's definitely some financial challenges just with the general state of the world, different funding models. So something that our leadership will be looking at in this next plan. And then finally, there's investing in our membership, which is an ongoing strategy. But that kind of sets the stage for the next thing that I'll talk about, which is the membership rate increases. So I encourage everybody to take a look at this whenever you get a chance and to get a better sense of what our goals are for the next few years. There's lots of lovely visuals, which was really fun for me to work with one of our designers. We have two different, usually we work with Nathan Melman for our inside SEMC publications. This one was actually done by Banks Creative, my friend Erin Banks, who I've been working with for years and years and years. Prior to my job here, I worked at the Gibbs Museum of Art in Charleston, and she is the designer for the Gibbs. So Erin and I have been working on strategic plans for a long time, and I always hoped that, in this role, we would be able to work together on our strategic plans. But it's just lots of nice visuals. You can see who exactly was involved in the strategic planning on the final page here. But this is out there for everybody to see, and we're pretty excited about it. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment with the strategic plan, and I'm going to roll through all of this, and then we can get into some if you have questions for anybody. Heather and Carlo were both involved in the process, the strategic plan process, and were able to be part of the working groups. Do y'all have any comments on it?
No, we're just really proud of it. The fact that we have a trajectory to look forward to. It was fun to see it all come together, and we just can't wait to see it come to life.
Yeah, I'm excited about the membership piece. Always looking to find ways to increase our membership and to see what members want and what they need to help support their work.
Okay, thank you both. And that is a great lead up into the next part of this, which is, as I mentioned in the beginning, and you've probably seen, SEMC is increasing its membership rates beginning, sorry, guys, beginning on July 1. So one of the things about having new council members come in is they question things, and that's a good thing to have new voices and new perspectives, and people who sometimes we get kind of bogged down in the work that we're doing, especially for staff. It's very much operations and day to day and getting things planned for the annual meeting and all the programs and the details and logistics. So one of the really nice things about council members is they're much more looking at bigger picture. And we had new council members a few years ago that were asking, well, how are SEMC's membership rates in comparison to all of the other associations? And it just wasn't something we had looked at in a while. And in doing some additional research, we have kept our membership rates the same for about 8 years, which is fine, but the cost of doing business obviously continues to rise. And those, we certainly, appreciate the fact that our members are coming from all different types and sizes of museums. And so the goal is always to keep SEMC membership affordable and attractive and available and not throw up barriers. But at the same time, operational costs also continue to rise, just with inflation, with the cost of everything these days. So, but in order to do that work, the first thing that we did was do an audit, you saw it. The strategic plan reflects it, but that work was already kind of beginning before we started on the strategic plan. And so we had a smaller subcommittee of the council do just see where we landed in relation to all of the other regional associations. And there's 6 of us. There's the Western Museums Association, New England, Mountain Plains, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, and who am I forgetting? I don't know. I think I got us all, and SEMC. And our rates were significantly lower. So while our peer associations had continued to kind of just incrementally keep up with the cost of things, SEMC had not. And so again, it was strategic, but it also reflects the fact that we are doing a lot as a small staff for our membership, and the operational costs were not necessarily in line with the membership increases. So, or the current rates. Anyhow, it's also just good practice. I think you would hopefully all agree in your own museums every few years to look at the rates and to make sure that they are keeping up with the cost of the world and the services that you're providing. So we wanted to be very thoughtful about this, though, and there's now 3 working groups that have been activated as part of the new strategic plan process, and these are within the council. There is the revenue working group, the operational model working group, and the membership working group. So the membership working group met last fall, and they again assessed the data that had been gathered and came up with the new membership structure, which again will go into effect on July 1st. But the important part here is that these rates they weren't just created in a vacuum. There was a definite emphasis on trying to keep what SEMC was doing, keep it affordable for members, but also acknowledge the services that we are providing in the context of, we're a nonprofit, but we also have to cover our operational costs, which is kind of bottom line here. So if you go to the membership page on the website, which, everything you need is right across the top here, there is an explanation of, what we're doing and why. And then you can click on here to see how the rates are increasing. They're not huge changes. The student rate will be going up from $25 to $35. And again, all of this will be in effect as of July 1st. So nothing has changed right now, and you have time if you want to go ahead and lock in your current rate for another year. And then I'll let Carla kind of talk a little bit more about the benefit of doing that right now in just a minute. The individual rate is going up. It's going up. And this, again, we were significantly lower than every other peer organization across the country in this rate. So that's probably where you'll see one of the most significant changes. Starting July 1st, there will be 2 additional types of rates that you can choose from. This individual premium rate, we've called it. And again, all of this came out of the membership working group. So I really appreciate all the effort that was put in there. That will be $120, and you can be a member for 2 years. And we're still working through some of the discounts on workshops, additional discount on conference registration. That will probably be pretty appealing. So we'll have more details on that by July 1st when that actually comes. is live. Another thing that we're adding in beginning July 1st is a lifetime membership. And this is $750 is purposeful because 2026 will be SEMC's 75th year of operating. We were organized and became incorporated in 1951. And so 750, 75th, there you go. And we'll have more information about lifetime memberships. The institutional levels are also changing. The category 1 is going from 50 to 150. And again, our institutional levels have always been based on your operating budget. So there's some slight changes here with what categorizes or what budget level there is for a category 1. They just raised it somewhat. Category 2 also going up by about $50. The one big note here is that there won't be a category 6 anymore. They just the group consolidated all of these rates into 5 categories. So the highest budget level we have will be a category 5, and that's for any institution with an annual operating budget over $1 million. So if you are a category 6 right now, you will just be your new rate will be the category 5, and it really I think it goes up by $50, which is across the board. So that's what's happening. The corporate membership rates, we increased those last year. So for corporate members, there won't be any changes. I'm going to stop my share there for a minute and see what maybe Carla, if you want to talk a little bit about early renewal.
Sure. So for any members that want to renew between now and July 1st, you can get up to 3 months of free membership. We're capping it out if your original renewal date is up through August 30th. You can renew now and you'll keep your original renewal date, and then you'll just get those additional free months of membership. So, we're trying to look at some incentives to help our members decide, if they want to renew early and get a few months of additional membership for free. And with the institutional memberships, that's really good because when you have a bundle with your staff, then all of your staff members are getting the extra months of free membership as well. Does anyone have any questions about that?
You could drop them in the chat or just
Yeah.
Another thing about renewing early, and I did just want to address this, beginning July 1st, all credit card transactions that come through SEMC will have a 3% processing fee. This is something we have never done, and it adds up that 3% because the credit card companies charge us for it. And perhaps in a different economy, in a different time, we would be able to absorb those fees, but that's just not the situation we are in right now. However, right now, as of May 15th, there you will see the processing fee for anything conference related. So when you do your conference registration, if you pay by a credit card, there will be that 3% fee on there. It's not a tax. It's literally just covering our costs to offer the convenience of using a credit card. You don't have to use a credit card. You can pay any fee by check and forego that 3% fee. But I did just want to address it. However, we're not adding the fees to membership until July 1. So if you renew now, you will get the benefit of a few free months of membership at your locked-in rate for the next year without the credit card processing fee. So I'm sorry that we had to do that, but again, we're just, it's kind of the state of things right now. And I see it all the time on any transaction that I make, and I don't even really think about it anymore. So it's just where we are. But I didn't want to just talk about it. So I'm just going to really quick share my screen one more time and talk about a little bit about the annual meeting because we have a big month. Like April was a big month. We opened registration, we rolled out our strategic plan. All of the competitions are open for SEMC 2025, but I'll just go over that a little bit from the website again because it's a good place to start. So. All right, so here we are back on our website. By the way, I just added this like scrolling sponsors to the top of the page. So if you want to see who is actively supporting SEMC 2025, right now it's up there. So you can go to the homepage and click right here, but also under conference up here at the top, there's all kinds of information. And it's there and you can get lost in it, but there's anything you could possibly want. If you go to the general conference page, registration is open, so you can go right to this link, register for the annual meeting. Right now, early bird. Oh, I don't see. I'm not logged in as a member, but if I was, this early bird rate would be available to me. So the $400 early bird rate will be in effect for SEMC members until August 15th. And beyond that, it's going to go up to I think it's 475 after that. So you really, if you're coming to join us in Montgomery and you are a member of SEMC, you really want to register before August the 15th, but you have to be logged in. And you do that up at the top of the website with your email and password. And if you have questions about how to do that, or if you're bundled into an institutional membership, please just contact Carla for anything, and she can help with that to make sure, because a lot of times your institutional bundle member has to add your email to our site to be considered part of the bundle. And so sometimes there's a disconnect between staff members and who's on the the bundle coordinator. So it's really important because you want to be able to get that $400 rate. If you are in Alabama this year, because Alabama is our host state for the annual meeting, there is this $375 rate, and that is that requires a code. So you can contact us or anyone with the Alabama Museums Association to get that code. So going back to the conference, once you're back on this page, maybe you're still deciding if you want to join us for all the fun this fall in Montgomery. Well, you can peruse the entire conference schedule. And Heather's worked really hard on this, as has the local arrangements team and the program committee, and everything is here by date. You can go through what's happening on Monday, what sessions are there, who's leading the sessions, what they're all about, what are the evening events look like. There's just a ton of information here. So I really encourage you, if you're still considering coming, there's a lot of information for you to consider for the annual meeting. So let me go back now. Okay. You can also, if you don't have time to go through the whole program right now, you can look at this schedule at a glance. And so this is sort of some, kind of depends on how you process information. But if you're trying to plan your travel, this is a great place to go. These are all the things that are happening on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Again, all of these schedules, all of this information right there on the website. If you want to stay an extra day through Wednesday, we're going to have some cool tours Wednesday afternoon, as well as some stuff on Sunday. So all of these schedules can be updated in real time. So while I would say 95% of it is pretty accurate, we're only here in May and our conference is in October. So we will still be adding things and tweaking things, but it's a pretty good overview of generally what you're gonna find coming to SEMC this year. How about hotel? All of that, again, it's a tab under conference. And this year we're going to be at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel. That's where all the sessions will be. And this is our host hotel. It's encouraged to stay at the host hotel. If you're traveling to Montgomery, it's just nice to be there. We will take over this whole hotel actually for the duration of the conference. So there's all sorts of information there about reserving your room. The room block usually fills up, and it's usually full by August. And once it's full, we can't guarantee the rates anymore. Then you're kind of beholden to whatever the inventory at the hotel is, and I'm going to tell you it'll be a much higher rate. So if you're planning to come to SEMC 2025, you can go ahead and reserve your hotel room now. You won't be charged for it. You will, it'll hold it. I don't think you can cancel it up to, I think, 2 days before the event. So I would also encourage anybody who thinks you're going to come to go ahead and reserve your hotel room. Exhibitor information, I can't even see who's on this call right now, but if you're curious to see what industry partners will be in the expo hall this year in Montgomery, you can always check this list. I update this in real time. We have about 25 exhibitors right now. We'll probably get to around 60. Again, it's still kind of early in the process, but if you're looking for very specific, services and you want to say, oh, Solid Light's going to be there this year, you can always go to that tab to see who's coming. One of the things, there is a tab under conference for scholarships and awards. So we do have a call open right now for SEMC's leadership awards, and this would involve nominating. Up here, we have different types of awards. There's sort of a career award, a mid-career award, and an emerging museum professional. So please check that out. If you have somebody in mind, we give out those awards at the luncheon, the final day of the conference, and it's always really fun. Awards, and there's also some money here. There's travel scholarships. We know that it's a pretty challenging year in terms of funding, and it's I hate to say it, but sometimes professional development is the first thing that gets cut in a budget. So we are trying to help with that. We do offer travel scholarships. We have 10. And there are possibilities that we might be adding a few more based on some sponsor partner funding. So definitely keep an eye on our social media and on these websites. But for the time being, you can apply for a travel scholarship. It covers your cost of registration plus a $500 travel stipend that you can use however you want towards hotel or gas, food, whatever you might need. Those applications are open through the end of June. So definitely take a look at this page if you need some extra funding. And I think the last thing I wanted to just talk about briefly is the competitions. These are also open right now. SEMC competitions are a fun way to recognize all of the amazing work that's being done across the Southeast. And we have 3 categories. We have an exhibition category, publications, and then technology. So all of that information is here on the website. And there's the application, how to submit, who to contact if you have questions about it. There is a one-time entry fee for competitions, and we've had some questions about that before. That, again, is covering administrative costs related to organizing these competitions. There's a whole bunch of staff time involved in terms of coordinating compiling the applications and then disseminating all the information to the competition chairs. And it's part of what we do, but it is another operational cost. So that is what those fees cover. And we definitely appreciate those who are able to pay them. There's the competition. I think this was an exhibition category last year from the Baton Rouge Gallery in Louisiana, and they won one of the exhibition competitions, and we're super proud. So, I think I'm going to stop there. We have about 20 minutes left. I would ask Carla or Heather if you have anything you want to add to all of that.
Yeah, I would also add, knowing that we are in sort of lean times, if you need to have sort of a convince your supervisor letter, we do have that on the website as well, which will help you kind of gather some numbers and whatnot that you can present to your, leadership team if you need sort of help getting support for the conference, because it's a really great conference this year. It's a nice mix of history and art, and the local arrangements committee and program committee have worked really hard to bring you a really interesting experience. So we're really excited about it.
And I will just add that at the conference, I'm in charge of registration and volunteers. And we're always looking for volunteers. We usually have I would say about 30 volunteers that we need to help make the conference run smoothly. Mostly the volunteers are at our registration area helping to check in members, but we also have some other opportunities for volunteers. But it's a great way to engage with your fellow colleagues sitting at the registration table. You're going to see everybody that comes in. We do have a reduced rate for volunteers, and we ask that you at least commit to one shift of volunteering for 3 hours. So it's not a huge commitment, but it does help us out a lot. We really could not get through the conference without the help of our volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can reach out to me. I would also say, if you're not following SEMC on social media, please follow us, because that's where we are going to be putting all of our conference information, updates, everything. So go ahead and follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you want to, any of the sort of frequently asked questions about registration, or like I don't know, anything that you've been getting lately that would be helpful?
Well, I think one of the most important things you kind of touched on is that if you're at an institution, before you register, find out if your institution is a member, and find out if you're in your bundle, because we do often get a lot of members that register and as a non-member when their institution actually is a member. And it's as easy as contacting me and just saying, hey, Carla, can you check and see if my institution is a member, or can you tell me who my bundle coordinator is? Because the bundle coordinator has to add you to the membership in order for you to be a member. That is like the biggest thing. The other thing I would say is to just, if you have an SEMC profile, just go in and update that. We use that to do our name tags. We use that to send out information. So if anything is not current, you're not going to be getting the conference information that you need. Let's see, what else? Heather, can you think of anything else? I'm trying to think of other.
I would
One of the
say,
things that, oh, go ahead, Heather.
I was just going to say, what you register with your email address, like if you're a speaker on FeedLoop, and be sure you're using the same email addresses throughout, because it can get kind of lost in translation. So you want to make sure you're getting the FeedLoop updates during the conference as well. So make sure you're using the same email address.
And that did remind me of one other thing. If you are registering other people, everyone has to use their own SEMC email address. So I can't register for Heather and Zinnia using my email address and register them. Everyone has to have their own email address. If they don't have their own email address, they will not receive the conference information. It will hold up name tags. It's just a little bit chaos. So yeah, just make sure that everyone has their own individual email address linked to their profile.
And then that brings up to, so, we are early in registration, and I did mention that we may still add things, whatnot. So if you register now, and maybe you don't know yet if you're going to be able to come for a pre-conference event, like a tour, or you're like, I don't really know if I want to do this luncheon. You don't have to know that right now. You can go ahead and register for the annual meeting. And then later, when you do know you have a better handle on your schedule, you can go through the register for additional tickets and events link. That one throws people off a little bit, and it has more to do with our platform, which is Wild Apricot, which is like not awesome, but like it's fine. But it's what we have right now. So there is an opportunity, and also sometimes I've seen this before too. An organization will pay for your conference registration, but they won't pay for any of your meals. And so you can use your institutional credit card for the conference registration, but if you want to go to the registrar's luncheon, you have to pay for it yourself. Well, that's where you would want to use the additional ticket screen so that you could have a different payment method there. So, and again, we can work through any of these little nitpicky things with you as you're going through the process. But these are just things that tend to come up year after year. One thing I do want to point out too is that we are working with the Smithsonian. It's a program called Reckoning with Our Racial Past. They're a partner actually of SEMC, and they are going to be doing a pre-conference workshop on Sunday, the 19th. So we don't have all of the details yet, but this workshop is happening. So what we've done in the registration form right now is just ask people to express interest in it. And then you can go, it's something you can register for later. But I hope that we'll have all of that available within the next month, just so people can officially register for it. But it will be a pretty unique opportunity, I think. What else? I think we got most of it.
Yeah, there is an opportunity if you do have food restrictions, there's an opportunity to list all of those on your registration. Just, we want to make sure everyone is safe and has the meal that is appropriate for them. So we do have that option as well.
I guess one other thing that comes up each year too, if you're gonna pay by check for your registration fee, that's totally fine. And I know that some of you that are in like state organizations or university organizations, it takes like an act of God to get a check cut. So the invoice will, you can go ahead and register and generate the invoice to get those things in motion. And then, we may check back with you closer to the conference to just say, hey, what's the status of this? But it's fine to go ahead and register now if you want the early bird rates, because a lot of times this comes up, well, I'm not going to have my funding in place until after August. You can still go ahead and register and just leave the invoice open, until you can get it situated on your end. So you want the early bird rate. That's what I say. Do we have any questions about anything that's come up? Okay, so there's a room block issue. That's not right. But I will go ahead and check on the room block. I mean, our room block is not sold out at all. So
This is Patrick. I think he was saying like you have to go through the link. If you try to just go in or perhaps call them randomly, it shows sold
Oh,
out. So I think he was just making a point that it's important to go through the actual link that we have on the website.
okay, but that's actually to that end. Every now and then there's like a disconnect between.
Mhm.
I will say too about the room block, we have a limited number of rooms on Saturday and Wednesday. So some people choose to come early, stay late. That's great. But if you want to do that, go ahead and reserve those rooms now because that's like trying to predict people's behavior. Like we just don't know. So since those are kind of pre and post conference, the room block is less. But Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, there's ample rooms, but limited on Saturday and Wednesday. Um, Anything else in there? Okay. Any other questions about membership rates or strategic plan? No. We should have an announcement about our keynote speaker in the next week or so. We're working on a pretty dynamic opening general session. Working on the breaks in the expo hall, and so some things are still in motion. A lot of good tours this year, different ways to take advantage of all of that Montgomery has to offer, and get to as many museums as you can. One of the things that we've worked out with if you're familiar with the Legacy sites, the Legacy Museum, and they have 3 different sites run through the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery. They're actually closed to the public on Mondays and Tuesdays, but during the conference, any SEMC attendee can go over to the Legacy Museum on that Monday and Tuesday and show their badge and have access to the museum to have that experience. It's a short walk from the Renaissance too, so that's something else that we'll continue to promote and remind people about as we get closer to conference. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you all for coming and for dropping in. You can always email Heather, Carla, or I about anything. We try and be as accessible as possible. And follow us on social media.
Thank you all for the information.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, thank you all. Thanks. And we hope to see you this fall at SEMC in Montgomery. And we've got some virtual programs coming up in the next couple months. So keep an eye on those and keep moving forward.
Good stuff coming.